Hey everyone, it's Joe Hashey from Synergy-Athletics.com. Doing something very different today. Last week on Facebook, I asked my friends if it would be beneficial if I shot a video on how to recover during the tough first few weeks of practice. I know the fall sports season is coming up, and I have a lot of athletes that are my Facebook friends and here on YouTube. And I wanted to put something together to kind of help them out, to give them an advantage going into the sports season. Now, the reason why this is a different YouTube video, it's my first one that I've done with kind of like a PowerPoint. If you're not down with it, that's fine. I'll get some more training videos out in just a couple of days. But if you find this video valuable, it's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes. Please share it with your other friends on your team. Please share it in your sports forums online and with your friends on Facebook. Help spread it around so people are getting the same advantage of staying healthy going into your sports season. There's a few things I want to cover. The first thing is I'm going to take this PowerPoint slide, I'll make it into a PDF, and I'll put it as a download link for you. I can't put it directly on YouTube, so I'll just put a link to my site right there in the description. You see a little arrow pointing down on the graphic. Go to the description. You can download the PDF of this talk, and I'll also put the video file as a download if I can get it up on the site quickly enough for you. All right, enough introduction. I want to get right to why you should care about the first few weeks of practice. Now, the first few weeks of practice are extremely crucial, both to coaches and to the athletes in recovery. I'll talk about football first. During the first 2 weeks of football practice, they're going to be your hardest. You're going to run more. You're going to have longer practices. A lot of states still have 2 days. I know some people are moving away from that, but your practices are generally longer. At the end of the summer, it's hotter. Your body gets beat up more. Same for any sport, if we're talking soccer, field hockey, or any other fall sport, because you have to deal with that summer heat. Now, 62% of injuries come from practices, which makes sense because there are more practices than games in my mind. That makes a lot of sense. But here's the big one. 75% of injuries come from overuse. So these athletes are coming into the season with some sort of imbalance. They're overusing their body during those 2 weeks, not properly recovering, and they're getting hurt. And the most outstanding statistic is it's up 20% from 1999. And there could be a lot of reasons for that kids are coming in generally less prepared. Some people theorize because kids are not getting outside and playing as much, or they're playing the same sports year round and developing imbalances. It could be the video game Facebook generation where they're just going to sit around and not get out as much. Again, this theories. But all we do know is that the sports injuries are up a ton, and it's usually because their bodies aren't prepared and recovered for it. So that's kind of my hook. You want to be in that 75% of the injuries due to overuse, or you want to be the healthy. If you want to be healthy, continue watching. I'm going to try to knock this out for you, like I said, in about 10 minutes. Here's what I'm going to cover. Here's today's little lesson plan. We're going to go over 4 big nutrition mistakes, 5 tricks for muscle recovery and survival, and the best solution. I put that in quotes because we don't have a time machine. You probably can figure out what I'm going to get at there. But I want to get started with the nutrition mistakes. And I'm not a nutritionist. I want to put a footnote in that. But there are some general mistakes that I need to highlight. It would be irresponsible not to mention them. The first one is going into the season and trying something crazy new in your diet. So if your buddy says to you, "Here, drink this Rip Force drink during your preseason, and you're going to feel great and be all pumped up," well, you have no idea how your body's going to react to it. And you could have a poor reaction to it. You could have digestive issues with it. Could make you sick. Could ruin your day. Could just make you beat down. Could dehydrate you because of all the uppers and quotes, the caffeine content and things like that. So you don't want to go into the preseason and just start trying new things. It's not just supplements. It's foods too. So if you never eat peanut butter sandwiches, don't just start eating like 5 a day, because you don't know how your body's going to react to it. You have to do everything kind of incrementally in a process where you're going to introduce it slowly. And I had an unfortunate instance with that specific beverage I'm showing you up there. I was going into a high school football game. It was our 3rd game of the year, and another player, a linebacker, handed me this Rip Force, grape flavored. Said, "This is what I drink for every game." I was like, "All right, I'll drink one of these." The entire game, I was burping. I was having digestive issues, acid reflux. I just felt terrible. It was one of the worst things that could have ever happened. It ruined an entire game. And in high school football, you only get 9 or so games. It was a terrible choice, so you don't want to start mixing it up with things that are crazy during your preseason. I hope that makes sense to you. Mistake number 2 is being too G, and I'm talking Gatorade, Powerade, any beverage that is kind of has the artificial sweeteners in it. And I want to get to a point. It's not bad for you. I'm not an anti-Gatorade person, but the size of the Gatorade is what causes issues. Because if you're going to chug a 32-ounce artificially sweetened Gatorade that even says on it that it's 2.5 servings or whatever it is, 3 servings, you're really actually it might even be 4 servings for a 32-ounce. But you're asking for a digestive issue that is made to be consumed in 3 or 4 different sittings, but they know that, the smart marketing knows that the kid's just going to chug all that anyways, and if you put that much Gator in your body's not going to be able to digest all the sweeteners and everything that goes with it. So number one, a lot of it's going to go to waste. And number two, you're going to have some stomach issues. So here's what I suggest. You do see the Vita Coco bottle next to it. Now I know just yesterday there was a study, I like to try to keep up on this, about coconut water, and the nutrition label is being a little bit misleading. That Vita Coco in particular had up to, I believe it was 63% less nutrients than it claimed. But a couple other brands were good. Coconut water is a natural way to get some electrolytes in you and help to remain hydrated. But you have to, with anything else, be careful of what you choose. Try it out before the season starts. See if it works for you. Now, those are a little bit harder to get their hands on. We have a couple grocery stores around here, Wegmans and so forth, that does carry it, but not everyone. So the more practical solution is to get the Gatorade, to get the Powerade, to get the whatever brand. You want to get the smaller bottle. I believe it's a 16-ounce. And you actually want to split that between 2 bottles and fill the rest cut it with half a bottle of water. So you'll have half a Gatorade with half a water, and you'll drink that down, and your body will be able to digest it faster. Now, if you want more, wait 30 to 60 minutes before you have the other half with the water. Get the more electrolytes in it. But spreading out that period of putting the liquids into your body will help your body digest it and use it more, and it won't give you the same stomach issues as if you chug a huge Gatorade or Powerade or anything like that. So I know the more practical solution is to stick with the sports drinks, because they'll probably have them for you in a vending machine at your school or readily available at a grocery store, as opposed to recommending something like coconut water where you have to go out and search for it. But if you do it, I'm warning you, don't drink the big ones. Cut it in half, and drink half Gatorade, half water. And I'm talking not the big Gatorade, I'm talking the smaller Gatorade, half of a 16-ounce Gatorade with water. All right, mistake number 3. People love to spaghetti carb load, and there's a couple reasons for it. It's easy to have a spaghetti dinner. It's cheap. You can do it for your whole team. It's not the worst thing in the world, but a lot of people still preach eating a lot of carbs the night before a big game or practice. And I want to cover this briefly because I think this only applies to probably a quarter of the population out there that actually do this. But you don't want to slam down big portions of something you don't have, like you don't usually have in your diet, like a spaghetti or something like that. You are much better off sticking to whole grains, your rice, sweet potatoes, things like that, as opposed to something that's processed like a spaghetti. So if you're going to consume more carbs to replenish your body, number one, that's smart, but do it wise and have it with something that, like I said, is a little bit low GI, or a little bit better for you. You're going to be able to replenish better with a sweet potato, rice, brown rice, things like that, as opposed to eating something like white bread, spaghetti, etc. So that was just a little tip in there. 4th one, Captain Obvious is coming to town here. Don't eat crap. Between the game, if you're eating a candy bar, then this presentation probably isn't for you, because you're just going to keep eating crap. If you put crap fuel in your body, your performance is going to be crap. Your recovery is going to be crap. It's just not going to work out for you. So lay off the crap during the preseason, and actually during the whole season. So try it. You shouldn't be going to McDonald's between it. a friend of mine on the football team, we had a McDonald's close to school, and this is a true story. And believe me if you will, but this guy went to McDonald's. We were going through practice, and we take a water break. And he goes over to the water and takes off his helmet. Out of his helmet, he pulls out one McDonald's hamburger that was in his helmet, remind you, during the first 30 minutes of practice or so, unwraps it, eats it while we're at the water fountain, throws his helmet back on, and goes back out to practice. Needless to say, his performance was crap, and that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. But you eat like crap, you get crap performance, so don't be eating your greasy foods between practice, or don't be sticking weird things in your helmets. That just blows my mind still to this day. All right, now get on to the stuff that I prefer to talk about, and that's the muscle recovery. This is crucial for the athletes in the off season when we're lifting so hard at Synergy and all the gyms that you guys lift at. But it's also crucial to keep this up when your body's taking a pounding during the first 2 weeks. The first thing that's going to take a pounding is your legs. Chances are you're going to be doing a lot more running, no matter what sport you're in, during the preseason than you ever did in the off season. You're going to have, 4 hours or so of field time a day, and you'll have sprints at the end of each session. You'll be sprinting from your groups. You'll be sprinting in drills, and your feet, ankles, calves, hamstrings, glutes, hip flexors are all going to take a pounding, and they're going to be very sore the next day. And if you don't recover them, your performance will fall off. If you're battling for a position or just to feel better, this is an important tip. Here's a good one for you. To recover your feet and calves, I know I wanted to include calves because a lot of people told me via feedback that they get kind of like a shin splint type feeling in their calf, which turns out it's usually just sore muscles in the calf, not really the front as much because your body isn't used to it. So here's the tips. Number 1, when you get off your practice, pop your shoes off. Number 2, and this one sounds a little bit weird, but you want to change your socks in between practice. Don't let your feet just soak in the sweat that you just had. And the last one, actually, one more point in the changing socks. They actually did a study on this, and I hope I can find the study for you, and I'll include it in a link on the download page. But they said the way your socks are actually affect your mood. And I don't know if that's true or not. That's what the study said, that if you change your socks halfway through the day, people tend to be happier. I don't know. It blows my mind. But for our purpose, you do want to change your socks. Now, for your feet and calves, here's the big one. Inside your locker, you should keep a ball, a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. And between sessions or after sessions, you should take it and you should stand on it and roll out your feet. I have a couple free YouTube videos of explaining self-myofascial release, and I will, I got to remember I'm promising all stuff, but I will also put them on the link in the description. So if you're watching this on the Synergy page, chances are I stuck the SMR video for you right below it. All right, and the last one with self-myofascial release, and you can probably have to do this at home, is take a water bottle, fill it with water, drink a little bit, and then fill it with water, so you have expansion to deal with. You take that ice bottle, and you're going to do a little cryotherapy with it, but you're going to do it the same fashion as a self-myofascial release. You take that water bottle, and you will roll it up and down your calves manually, or you can lay on it and roll it up and down your calves. That cold compression will help push some of the inflammation out and get the self-myofascial release. And you should also do the same thing on your feet. And don't forget to do it on the front of your leg as well. The muscle that's kind of on the, if you're dealing with your right leg, you're going to have some muscle kind of on the front right, almost on the outside. You don't want to do it on the shin bone. That's pointless. But you do want to do it on all musculature of the feet and calves. It's a great way to recover. And a lot of people don't do it. All right, next tip. Hip flexors. Hip flexors are going to get beat up because you're not used to raising your leg as many times as you will while running during the preseason. Now here's the big tip, and this one might be a little bit controversial. You should ice your hip flexors, but I don't want you stretching them too much. And this, I know this sounds a little weird. People say if your muscle's sore, stretch it. Chances are your hip flexors will be sore from being too stretched already because you're not used to running. They're going to be lengthened and shortened a ton. You're going to have a little bit of inflammation in that, so what you want to do is you want to be able to ice your hip flexors, but you don't want to continuously stretch them because that's what the problem is in the first place. It's like If you're opening and closing a door a bunch of times, you shouldn't, to make that, make it go smoother, open and close it more. It's 'cause you're just working on that one little hinge, and if you wear that muscle down and then you start stretching the beat up muscle, you're gonna have some issues. So I would start with icing it. Now I'm not saying don't stretch at all. I'm just saying don't stretch extra. You should be stretching it before your practices. You should be stretching your quad, making sure everything's running smoothly. But after practice, stick to ice as opposed to increased flexibility in a muscle that's already getting overstretched, because chances are hip flexors tend to be a shortened muscle, because like I am right now, and chances are you are. That's the third time I said chances are in the last couple sentences. But you're probably sitting down right now. Your hip flexors are in a shortened position. If you're sitting at home a lot of the time, your hip flexors are shortened. If you're sitting in school, hip flexors are shortened. If you're just sitting in a car, shortened hip flexors. So the problem is that when you get on the sports field and you start running, you're lengthening them, and your body's not used to that amount of stretching. So should you stretch it more once it's already beat up? No, you're probably getting enough stretching during the practice and during the motion. So you need to ice and recover, and then stretch normally during practice. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions on it, post it up, and I'll see if I can answer it for you. Tip number 3 for muscle recovery: progressive self-myofascial release. Now, for the people who don't know what it is, self-myofascial release is simply like a poor man's massage. It's taking some sort of instrument and working on your tissue quality by applying pressure to it. Now, I have free videos, like I said, of that on YouTube. If you want to search my channel for self-myofascial release, you'll get some videos and some further explanation. But it's basically like self-massage. Now, you want to do this progressively. A lot of people go into the preseason, they'll take that lacrosse ball, the foam roller, the stick is popular for track, and they'll just go to town on their muscles. And they'll work on their tissue quality, but now your body was used to kind of that support. I have a picture of a knee up there. The white area is supposed to represent the scarring tissue. If your muscle has scar tissue on it, and all of a sudden you do self-myofascial release and break it all up, and your body is used to having the scar tissue on it, your body won't be prepared for the small increases in range of motion. So if you go over aggressive with your self-myofascial release, you break up the scar tissue, and then you go and run, it'll almost feel weird, because your body's not, the body is used to having the resistance of that scarring on the muscle. So you need to start things progressively. Start with your lacrosse ball massage, your foam roller, whatever it is, 5 to 10 minutes, and then increase it from there. But don't go overly aggressive at the beginning, which might sound counterintuitive. You want to just get in there and fix everything. But if your body's used to having some sort of resistance on it with a muscle knot or scar tissue, and all of a sudden you break them all up, and then you go out there and start sprinting and cutting, your body's going to take a little time to both physically and neurologically adapt. So start with it, but don't go nuts. Tip 4. Hands take a beat down in football. They also take a beat down in things like hands and forearms take a beat down in sports like baseball, field hockey, not so much soccer, but this will be for the kind of the football people up there. Maybe your hands get sore from soccer. Maybe you're doing a lot of push-ups or something, and your wrists are a little bit beat up. To get your hands feeling better, and my hands were always bruised and swollen during football, is you take two bins. Two like car wash buckets. One you fill with warm water, one you fill with water and ice. You're going to take your hands, you're going to stick them in that ice bucket, and you're going to create a fist real tight and release it. It's going to be almost like a pumping action. Cold water will help push the inflammation and the blood out of the muscles. You're going to do that for about 60 seconds. You're going to pull your hands out of that cold water and stick them in the warm water and do the same motion where you're creating. I'm doing them here, but you can't even see me. Same motion where you're making a fist and releasing. Make a fist and release in the warm water for 60 seconds. That hot water will push the blood back into the muscle. Pull them out, back to the cold. Go back and forth about 3 times, where you're getting a process of almost artificially creating a pump on your muscles, where the cold is pushing the blood out, inflammation out, hot water is pushing the blood back in to repair the muscles. In and out, get right up to mid-forearm, get those hands feeling better. This is one of the best things I've ever done to recover my hands and forearms. We do a lot of grip training at Synergy, So our hands are a little bit sore. You get some inflammation. You can feel your knuckles almost get tougher to move. Do this. It's almost some instant gratification. Feel better real fast. And I'm going to be a little bit repetitive here because the tip number 5 is prepare way before the season starts. If you're going into the season and all of a sudden you're like, oh, 1 week ahead, I better start working out, you're out of luck. Your preparation directly affects your performance. So if you're not prepared for the season, I know a lot of the coaches are great on harping on this. Get ready in the off season. Games are won and lost in the off season. If you come in and you don't have any sort of strength or running ability, and all of a sudden you have to run a lot in practice and perform explosive and strength activities, your body's going to get beat up no matter what you do. You can try to stave it off as best as possible with these recovery tips, but if you're not ready, you are going to get beat up physically. That is the best solution, is to prepare ahead of time. I'm just providing you with some guidelines that'll help the prepared athletes be able to survive all the stress and demands of both the preseason and during the season, giving them some good tips. But if you come in, like I said, just sloppy, you're out of luck. And there's not much you can do to save it now. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I know it's a little longer than what I do on YouTube. Usually I just host it on my website, but I want to make this readily available. And if you found it valuable, do please share it with your friends in your forums. I know there's tons of sports forums out there, and we're almost up to 8,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I want to get out to as many people as possible because it's important to try to help out our athletes stop getting so hurt during sports. And this is just one of the many ways which we can address that. So please share it around. I also have a free guide for you. I put the tiny URL up there so maybe it's easier to remember. But I'll also put a link in the description for you. It's just a little more of an in-depth discussion of some self-myofascial release and 2 other muscle recovery techniques that I love. Download it. It's free. I'll put it up on the website for you. Hopefully you found this valuable. Please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Post your comments if you have any questions. Hopefully you don't mind the longer video. If you liked it, do comment. Maybe we'll do another one every few months addressing a certain issue in sports. But if I don't get any comments, I'll know that people prefer the training videos. Thanks for checking out. Again, it's Joe Hashey from synergy-athletics.com with Surviving the Sports Season. Thanks for your time.